my sister was abducted, my sister and my aunt both actually, from two different cities, about 1,400 kilometers away from each other. But a few months later, my aunt was being released. I heard from my distant relatives. But my sister, it has been 2 years almost. There's no information. So basically, as a retaliation for my activism here in America, as an American citizen, my sister is paying the price. She became the victim. Chinese government claims that those are vocational training centers or they are re-education centers, yes. But in reality, it is a concentration camps where millions are enslaved. China outlawed every single Islamic practice, like normal Islamic exercise, as labeled as the illegal Islamic activities. For example, salam alaikum, that's most peaceful way of saying greetings, peace be with you. Even that is outlawed. You cannot even say salam alaikum. Uyghur women are forced to marry Han Chinese. Wow. And they cannot even reject such a forced marriage, because if they say no, those Uyghur women and their families are labeled as Islamic extremists, radicalized Muslims. It has been almost 2 years. I have been asking for proof of life, asking for information on my sister, asking Chinese government to release this innocent woman, but there's absolutely no information. So it makes me sad, frustrated, tired, but every time when I see my sister's picture or when I think about her, that gives me energy and the strength to fight. That's how I recharge myself to fight this evil regime.
Rushan, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. Could you please let us, our viewers, what is really happening within China and also especially within your community and also within your family too? And also give us a little bit background, at least your background, what happened and how did you came to this stage? Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about this unprecedented atrocity of the century. My name is Rushan Abbas, and I am an Uyghur American, and I'm also a mother and a human rights advocate, and I'm a sister to a retired medical doctor who's currently in China's concentration camps. She's arbitrarily detained, also she's innocent. If I just to tell you a little bit about the background, I was born and raised in Urumqi in East Turkestan, which we call with our historical and the symbolic name, but the Chinese government refers as Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, which is Xinjiang means new territory. Just from that name, you can tell, in fact, it's China's colony. And when China first invaded in 1984, that was the name given to us by the Manchurians. Our people fought twice and established independent East Turkestan, once in 1933 and once in 1944. And currently now it's an Orwellian, like from George Orwell's 1984, a mass surveillance police state where more than 3 million innocent people are arbitrarily detained outside of the legal system in the fascist concentration camps. And the millions more are being enslaved and currently actually being conducted genocide. We call it now, it is active genocide. As you see from my look and the way I speak, the Uyghur people are ethnically and culturally distinct. Basically, we belong to more like people from Central Asia, the Kazakhs, Uzbek, and the Kyrgyz. We are all, Turkic people, and we have been captive under the communist China's authoritarian control since 1949. And as a result of our unique culture, unique identity, ethnic identity, and our language and our religion, and they also our basic desire for our rights and the freedom to be respected and to live freely. We have been persecuted and they are basically oppressed for 7 decades, more than 7 decades now. And as I mentioned, it is leading to an active genocide.
Okay, so you
Myself,
mentioned it active genocide. Actually, so you also mentioned like in the concentration camp, but in the media, sometime we see we hear that like it's a re-education camp. How
mm,
many people we are talking about in these camps actually? So I'm talking about the whole actually. So male and the female, even in the kids actually, or is it only male only?
mhm. It is, well, we call it at least 3 million people right now because there are more than 1 million Uyghurs in diaspora.
Okay.
Every one of them,
Hmm.
every one of the Uyghurs living outside of East Turkestan right now,
Uh-huh.
they have or they know at least one or more than a dozen, more than 10, 15, 20 people from their families are obtained. Like myself, my sister is taken. It's almost 2 years now. The next month will be 2 years anniversary. And my husband's entire family, my parents-in-laws, my husband's mother and the father, 3 sisters, 3 brother-in-laws, and his brother and the sister-in-law, 14 of his nieces and the nephews. So basically, men, women, young, old, children, everybody is taken basically, especially in the Muslim and the Uyghur people are more populated areas, like in the southern part of the East Turkestan. Um, Chinese government claims that those are vocational training centers or they are re-education centers, but
Yes.
in reality, it is a concentration camps where millions are enslaved because famous writers, professors, university presidents, doctors, successful business people, pop stars like singers, um, whoever, like known for leading the community, they're all gone. These
Mhm.
people do not need vocational training to get jobs somewhere. The
Many
reason I
scholars
kept,
too, right?
I'm sorry.
Many scholars actually so have been taken away from the area, right?
Yes, many intellectuals, many scholars are taken.
Hmm.
The reason I kept saying that it is an active genocide is because if you look at all the elements of the Geneva Convention's description of the crimes of genocide are
Hmm.
met. There are
Hmm.
like 5 different elements.
Hmm.
If one is happening, you can call it genocide. But
Hmm.
right now, all 5 are happening.
Hmm.
But the world community is silent. So basically, with staying muted, staying silent against the genocide, the conscience of the world is being tested on our watch.
It is. It is. I'll definitely come to that one actually. So Rishan, you mentioned your sister actually. So does she really need a education? And so why you are specifically you are the target actually? So not only your sister, you mentioned many other people of the family actually. So give a little bit detail on that one too.
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, it's almost 2 years now. Next month, September, it will be 2 years anniversary of my sister's disappearance into the camps.
Uh-huh.
My sister is a retired medical doctor,
Okay.
speaks fluent Chinese, so she doesn't need any kind of vocational training to get a job somewhere. And my sister is a peaceful person, um, and she's not active like politically or religious wise. She's just a simple person living ordinary life.
Mhm.
And so far, we don't know where she is.
So
There's
why
not,
why they picked her up? What is the reason actually? So why your family is target?
because I have been very vocal about this. I have been always active. I came to the United States in 1989, as a exchange student, and then I went to graduate school. So ever since I came to the United States, I have been advocating for Uyghur people's human rights, and trying to tell the politicians and the lawmakers about the Uyghurs' situation. And recently, last 3 years, more than 3 years now, the situation deteriorated rapidly for Uyghur people in East Turkestan. So I talked at one of the think tanks here in Washington, D.C., Hudson Institute. I talked about the conditions of the camps and also the fate of my in-laws. 6 days after that, my sister was abducted, my sister and my aunt both actually, from two different cities, about 1,400 kilometers away from each other. But a few months later, my aunt was being released. I heard from my distant relatives. But my sister, it has been 2 years almost. There's no information. So basically, as a retaliation for my activism here in America, as an American citizen, my sister is paying the price. She became the victim.
But you were not like, you were pretty much raising the voice democratically, so you are not participating in any extremist activities, right?
No, I mean, here in the United States, under our constitutional rights, we have right to speak. That's what I did. I have been speaking and I have been organizing protest, peaceful protest. And that's all legal, supposed to be legal everywhere. Even in China's constitutional rights, even China claims to have these kind of rights people have in their constitution. Also, China is not the country ruled by law. China has absolutely no respect for any kind of laws. Not only China has no respect to international laws. They don't even have respect to their own laws. Otherwise, why would they adopt a person who's living in China peacefully for somebody who has been in U.S. for more than 30 years and been a U.S. citizen for last 25 years for her activism in America?
So let me come toward your religion. Actually, if I'm not wrong, actually, majority of the Uyghur people from your community belong to Islam, right? Islamic religion, religion. And what is the situation over there? Are they free to practice the Islamic religion over there within China or not? Actually, so what is happening? Actually, so if I say anything, if I try to raise the voice for my religion, if I want to practice, can the people practice their religion freely over there, Islam?
Not at all. Actually, China outlawed every single Islamic practice, like normal Islamic exercise, as labeled as the illegal Islamic activities. For example, salam alaikum, that's most peaceful way of saying greetings, peace be with you. Even that is outlawed. You cannot even say salam alaikum. You cannot have names from Quran. Nobody can pray and fast during Ramadan. All these normal activities are labeled as Islamic radicalization or illegal Islamic activities. Even look at it, look what's happening today. Uyghur women are forced to marry Han Chinese.
Wow.
And they cannot even reject such a forced marriage, because if they say no, those Uyghur women and their families are labeled as Islamic extremists, radicalized Muslims, because they view them as they didn't want to marry non-Muslim Han Chinese, atheist Chinese. So using the sham marriages, basically the Uyghur women are being raped in the name of marriage. In Islam, every single Muslim woman is supposed to be able to choose who they want to marry. Right. And that's basic rights of every human beings everywhere in the world.
Right.
And also the Chinese government is sending, and this is not just my words, this is what's being reported in the, some of the even state media by the Chinese state. The Han Chinese cadres are deployed to Uyghur homes to live inside of their houses, to monitor their daily activities. Imagine that. They live
So now
inside
let
of
me ask you,
house.
let me clarify this question actually, because many people ask me this question. You are the right person to answer this question. That is it true, though, like especially the people, like if the man of the house is in the concentration camp, and some of the Chinese people from the Chinese army are staying in the home of the Uyghur families, and even they are sleeping on their beds. Is it true? If that is true, is it not called the state-sponsored biggest rape in today's history?
Exactly. You got it, actually. Everything you said is true. And again, there are some video clips and the pictures of those Han Chinese officials who are staying in Uyghur homes and in the bed, actually, in the bed,
Yes,
laying in
that's
the
what
bed.
I saw.
There are video clips. I'm going to send you that if you want to use it.
Yes.
So Chinese media reported 1.1 million Han Chinese cadres deployed to Uyghur homes to live inside of their houses. So
Right.
most of the Uyghur men are taken to concentration camps, or
Yes.
they are sent to forced labor facilities, or sentenced harshly to the prison terms. So most of the women left at home are subject to sexual abuse. So, yes, you are right. We call this government sponsored mass rape because these Uyghur women are subject to rape by those Chinese men. And
Right.
even Chinese media, they are encouraging, they are saying that, oh, these people are supposed to go and uh, continue the double relative program, the living inside of the Uyghur homes, and that they are saying we encourage them to share beds with them, to develop feelings.
Oh,
Imagine that. What does that
wow.
mean?
Wow, it's terrible. Actually, so coming back to the Islam, so what is happening? Like I heard in the news, at least some mosques are being destroyed too. Is it true? At least some toilets are being built. They're destroying the mosque. Is it true, or these are the fake news?
Yes, Radio Free Asia recently reported that one of the mosques was destroyed, demolished in Atush, a town near all the ancient city Kashgar, and just to humiliate our people, humiliate our religion, and insult our faith, they built public toilet in that space that they demolished the mosques. You know
Wow.
how hypocrite the Chinese government is. They are building the biggest mosque in Nigeria. They're building mosques in Africa. Same time, they are demolishing 600 years old ancient mosques in our homeland. They demolished more than hundreds and thousands of mosques. Not only mosques, they are also demolishing the uh, barrier grounds like cemeterias. So they are basically waging war on Islam in East Turkestan
Mhm.
against Uyghur Muslims,
Right.
yet they are acting like that they support Islam or they respect Islam in other part of the Muslim countries, in the
Yeah.
Muslim majority areas.
Right. So I heard something about the Quran too, at least. So are they doing some changes in the Quran within China, like is the same Quran being pretty much implemented as the Quran everywhere else?
Yes, the Chinese government basically they captured all the copies of Quran and the praying rugs or any kind of religious materials.
Uh-huh.
They collected all of them, confiscated all of them, and they burned them. And now they announced to the world, shamelessly, the Chinese government announced to the world that they are going to rewrite the Holy Quran and the Bible to make it compatible with communist ideologies. Imagine that. How in the world Islam or Christianity or any religion for that matter can be compatible with communist atheist ideologies?
Mhm. So is that like the human rights violation? Is it happening only in your area, or is it like happening the same thing, similar things that are happening in Tibet or the Hong Kong or the other parts too in the China?
Well, they started in Tibet actually, the building some of the concentration camps and the uh, putting like religious people in Tibet, but not in a massive amount that they are doing to our people.
What is the
In
reason
Xinjiang,
actually? So why they are focusing so much actually? So what is the importance of your area or your people in that area? Is there any special like the importance for the whole China? So that's why they're doing it. What is the reason for that?
the reason for that is two actually. One is because we are the original landowners of East Turkestan. We are the original people, and that's our land. And China took over.
Okay.
Number two, Xi Jinping's signature project, the Belt and Road Initiative,
Uh-huh.
that puts our homeland as the epicenter of his uh, basically this blueprint for his global domination.
So that's the part connect China with the rest of the other countries, right?
Well, Belt and Road Initiative is, yes, they call it New Silk Road, and there's like four important legs comes out of this project, the New Silk Road project. They all basically goes through or starts from our homeland. When you look at it, CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor,
Mhm.
that starts from Kashgar, that's
Right.
our homeland, basically starts from East Turkestan. And the other important legs from the Belt and Road Initiative goes to Central Asia or through Turkey to Europe
Mhm.
or to Africa, Middle East. All of them goes through our homeland, as East Turkestan is the gateway to Central Asia, to Europe, and to Africa and the Middle East. So that's why, um, as a final solution, the Nazi Germany did to Jewish people, the Chinese government decided to basically run Holocaust
Uh-huh.
and conduct genocide against our people.
Mhm. Yeah, so you mentioned the especially the China Pakistan economic corridor, right? I heard actually. So China is investing more than $50 billion in China in that project, and the same thing, similar incidents are happening in the Balochistan too in Pakistan. What do you think actually, based upon your history, actually your understanding, what happened, yeah, the pattern? Can the same pattern be repeated in Pakistan by China in near future once they are not able to pay their money back?
Oh, absolutely. Pakistan basically became a province of China right now.
Okay.
You shouldn't even call it Pakistan as a country because it's losing the effectiveness of being a country.
Mhm.
China is basically running everything in Pakistan, politically, economically. So I'm afraid if Pakistan doesn't wake up and take a step forward to stop China, just to look at the Uyghur Muslims and imagine how the future will be for the Pakistani people. And I think many of the Pakistani people understand that. So
Right.
they just need to stand up and take action. And the many other Muslim majority countries, when you look at it, they're also becoming victims of China's disinformation and the false narratives. And the many people around the world uh, looking at this as like a political issue, but it's not. What's happening to Uyghur people? It's not a political issue. It's a humanity issue.
It is. It is. And also, another question arises from here, that how come it is a kind of attack on the Islam, because most of the people from your community, Uyghur community, is Islam, belongs to Islam. How come the other Islamic country, including Pakistan, Iran, and also many Middle East country, they are not raising any voice? They are not supporting you, and so they are not saying anything. What is why they are trying to look away on the other side? Actually, so at the other people, other country in the middle, like especially in the Europe, did during the Holocaust. Is it not the same thing happening over here?
Exactly. When that's very good comparison. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. During the Holocaust, Nazi Germany started the concentration camps
Yeah.
in 1933. 12 years later, when Nazi Germany unconditionally surrendered, cost millions of lives.
Mhm.
And that the world, they tried to claim the ignorance and said, oh, we didn't know it, because they continued to do business with Nazi Germany, enabling Nazi Germany's economy to murder more people, build more holocausts, kill more people. That's exactly the same thing happening right now. People are continuing to do business with China, and they are enabling China's economy to kill the Uyghur Muslims. But this is 2020, this is 21st century. They cannot claim the ignorance anymore. They cannot say that they didn't know it, because they know it. But unfortunately, many countries may be blinded by money through things like Belt and Road Initiatives, power, or manipulation, China's manipulation in United Nations as the second largest donor, and they are having a seat on the United Nations Human Rights Council panel. Imagine that. That's like inviting murderer to sit on his own murder trial, basically, to judge its own trial. And also the debt trap diplomacy. China's investing a lot of money to countries knowing that they cannot pay back, and they now buying their silence, basically. And also trade, the trade threats, using the trade card and the buying out the many countries and the businesses' silences. Basically, China's blood money buying the compliances of the world community, of United Nations, of like NBA here in the United States, of Hollywood even, and the many vocal people, and the buying the compliances of the major media stream. Like you don't see this covering in the mainstream media. So it's so important to educate people. That's why I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak. And we need to educate people so they will recognize this as a genocide that's happening to the Muslim people, especially the Muslim Ummah, Muslim majority countries, Muslim people. They need to know that the genocide is happening to their Muslim brothers and sisters.
Yeah, so one question. So, do you have a resentment with the whole Chinese, or when we say China, right? Because, or it's a Chinese Communist Party, because there may be many other community within the China, they may be suffering like you, but they are not able to raise the voice. And they may be also, because it's a dictatorship. Do you think everybody is involved, or like it's just a Chinese Communist Party?
Of course, it's there are 1.4 billion, Han Chinese people. A majority of the Han Chinese people are also victimized by the Chinese Communist Party's totalitarian system, and they don't also understand what's happening. They have been told lies by the Chinese government. Not only those Chinese people living in China, even many of the Chinese people, even here in the United States. I would like to use this opportunity to call on this one woman, actually. Her name is Kim Iverson. She is pretty popular in YouTube. She is basically using she lives here in America, I think in New York. She is using our platforms, the freedom of speech, freedom that we have in this country, to defend China's crimes against humanity. And they're trying to make China look like a victim, try to say that, oh, China is fighting radicalized Muslims and fighting terrorism there because China's national security is in danger.
Okay, coming back to your family, actually. So before we conclude, coming back to your own family, because you have suffered a lot. Your sister, is it more than 2 years? And how you and your other family members are coping?
It's not easy. My nieces, I have two nieces, my sister's two daughters. They both live here in America. They are raising their children without communication, to their grandma. And I see this 2 years old girl here, my niece's daughter, and calling me grandma, grandma, because she looks at my picture and sees my sister. Also, my nieces, instead of concentrating their life and concentrating raising their children, they are worrying for their mother and myself too. You know, it has been almost 2 years. I have been asking for proof of life, asking for information on my sister, asking Chinese government to release this innocent woman, but there's absolutely no information. So it makes me sad, frustrated, tired. But every time when I see my sister's picture or when I think about her, that gives me energy and the strength to fight. That's how I recharge myself to fight this evil regime,
Mhm.
um, to be able to save my sister and to see her free very soon. That's where actually I am comforting myself that I'm doing something for my sister and for those millions of innocent Uyghurs suffering under this evil regime.
Right. Before we conclude, actually, so I would like you to conclude and what kind of message you would like to convey and to our viewers. And also, there is a slave labor happening in your area, and the people innocently, like you and me, we may be buying the products from there. And do you have any message to the community, to the people, and also what message you would like to convey, and how we can help actually so in especially in this situation.
Well, basically, China has alienated itself with many saying that it may soon resemble with North Korea in terms of the isolation and the totalitarianism. But China has realized that it has backed itself into a corner now. Now, Chinese officials are saying that they want dialogue. So, if they want dialogue, first free innocent people like my sister and many others. But at the same time, they are basically, there's no transparency, and also they are basically bullying and spreading disinformation. The Chinese government must answer all of the Uyghur families and members are missing. Let us see them and free them. And the international community needs to stand up for this totalitarian regime. Basically, we know that the Chinese government using literal slavery to hide their crimes and sending Uyghurs out to those forced labor facilities and the factories across China. So think about it, as just a person with a heart, think about it when you buy something made in China, because made in China is basically buying made in China is basically buying Uyghur slave laborers, uh, you know, production, and the also supporting the genocide. Doing business as usual with China is supporting genocide, and China is now set for the 2022 Winter Olympics. That shouldn't happen. A country like China conducting genocide against the one race and one religion and ethnicity doesn't fit into the International Olympic Committee's principles and the respect that we have for this Olympic Games. So people needs to speak up. People need to pressure international Olympic community to strip off China's hosting rights. The Chinese regime basically silencing the international organizations, universities, and the threatening as their only form of diplomacy, mentioning dialogue only when aggressive tactics backfire on them. So do not buy them, because what they are doing, the system right now, this is a threat to the entire free world. This is a threat to the democracy that we worked so hard for past 50 and 100 years. Um, Basically, I cannot emphasize enough to whoever who's watching this,
Right.
the tragedy of the Uyghur people is the future of the entire world if we don't stand up and take action right now before it's too late.
Thank you, Shan. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for really taking the time out of your busy schedule, and I salute you for your all the work you are doing on the especially the human rights. And I feel really sorry what is happening with your family and to you and also with your community. And but end of the day, actually, so we will stand together. Thank you
Thank
very
you so
much
much.
again.
Thank you for your support and the shedding a light on this crimes against humanity to educate people. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.